In this video, I will wrap up with the last, 26 pages of Malcolm X, The End of White World Supremacy, and I will talk about some key points from a 21-minute video that I made and I chose not to upload. Besides, I didn't like it altogether. It went on and on. I mean, it was a good video, just too long, and I didn't feel it had the usual standards of my videos, but it was good. Anyway. So I go to page 124. This, again, I brought up in the last video that Malcolm X brought up the New World Order. And on this page, where was it? Well, he didn't use the terms New World Order in the reference I was talking about. He was talking about one world, one Muslim world. In this one, he actually says a new world. Let me find it. Okay. God himself must first destroy this evil Western world, the white world. Well, let me start. Before God can set up his new world, the Muslim world or world of Islam, which will be established on the principles of truth, peace, and brotherhood, God himself must first destroy this evil Western world, the white world, a wicked world, ruled by a race of devils that preaches falsehood, practices slavery, and thrives on indecency and immorality. Tons of truth. Too bad you were, preaching on behalf of Elijah Muhammad. And part of why he was mad is because he was criticizing Kennedy after Elijah Muhammad gave a decree or ruling that none of his preachers would criticize Kennedy because he was dead. Anyway, so I talk about how the UFC is a sport. You wear gloves and basically that people have criticized me by saying that the way I'm talking about martial arts is not the best way to talk about it. I mean, to compare martial arts skills, again, I say that sparring is the best way, besides fighting to the death, because the skills that you need to be victorious in sparring are the skills you need to defend yourself in a street fight. You need wit, tact, you need agility, speed, technique, blocks, and strikes. You're stabbing somebody, you're striking them. If you're blocking the stab, you're blocking, duh. So anyway, and then, even to disarm someone, you have to be fast. If I'm stabbing you and you're going to do this technique to disarm me, you're going to have to be at least as fast as I am. Anyway, to pull it off. So going on, right now I'm going to say something very controversial, but I'm just going to say it. I know better. I know what is better for black people than Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and Elijah Muhammad combined. And I'll tell you why. Malcolm X didn't spend his life studying the New World Order, secret societies. He didn't study the enemy as long as I have. But he knew a great many things. He knew what was current events. He knew he had a fair understanding of history, a passing understanding. He understood a lot of things, and like me, he went from preaching one message to slightly altering his message. That is what happens when you notice, and it's completely fair, it's completely all right. That's what happens when you notice that the people around you don't know as well as you do. You don't have to, no one knows everything, okay? Everyone is in a process of learning. We're all students and teachers. We can all teach someone something. We can all learn from other people some things. So as you're in this process of learning and growing, you reveal to people, this is what I know. This is what. Then there comes a point where you say, well, there's a better way of doing it, and there's these other facts that I didn't include. Okay. So he brought up puppet magicians with Pharaoh. The same thing. We have these magic card people, is what I call them. People who do magic tricks, who are with the New World Order and the quote unquote Pharaoh of the New World Order, if you will. The Rothschilds and them and all the people that roll with them, the higher ups in the New World Order. And so, they told Moses that you're going to stay and you're going to do it our way. Okay? So when he brought up the story of the Jews in the Bible leaving the Exodus from Egypt, he was right. At that time, separation was better than integration. Okay? But we are not living in that time. We're living in a time of technology. Pharaoh couldn't drop a bomb on Israel. If Pharaoh decided to invade Israel, you would see him coming, and he would face you on fairly fair terms. We don't live in that time anymore. We live in a time, if you separate, you're a sitting duck. You can't strike your enemy, but he can strike you. Whatever global population policies he passes, you're a sitting duck for it. Yes, it does help if you team up with other subordinated and marginalized minorities throughout the world. And, really, they're not minorities, because there's what, 1 billion Indians and 1 billion Chinese alone. Then there's other Asians, and there's Middle Easterners. Really, they're the majority. If you team up with all these other peoples who are non-white, and you go against the 7% of whites, and even less than that, it goes down to 5 or 6% who are actually Christian, more likely 5. And, of course you're going to fucking win. Of course. But then there's the people that roll with them. There's a lot of puppet leaders. Another thing he said I agree with is that the white man in the South, we called a wolf. The white man in the North, a fox. In politics, we have foxes on both sides. He talked about how the liberals, such as Stephen Currier, co-opted the March on Washington, and the 6 civil rights activists who were arguing amongst themselves and publicly over who gets the funds and who's a better leader. They brought them together at the Carlisle Hotel. Remember, Bilderberg Hotel, Bilderberg Group. Bohemian Grove, Bohemian Club. Carlisle Hotel, I don't know for sure with this one, but I'm pretty damn sure that Carlisle Group is what we have today. Okay, Parrish talks about it in his rap song. I see the Carlisle Group's inherits bank accounts. I see them plead the fifth each and every session now. I forgot what song that is. I think that is in his it's an anti-New World Order song. I forgot what it's called. Oh, what would you do? I think it's his What Would You Do song. Anyway, Carlisle Group, part of the conspiracy. Everyone knows that. Okay, who's looked into it a whole lot. Okay, so there's several names that come up: Carlisle Group, Rockefeller Foundation, Carnegie Institute, etc. So moving on, these people co-opted the movement, directly connecting Martin Luther King, like I said in the last video, to the New World Order. Whether he was a Mason or not, he was with the New World Order. Then you had Malcolm X, who was under the Elijah Muhammad. It was all about, it's the same thing with the Willie Lynch letters, You separate the black people as much as you can. Liberal, conservative, militant, quote-unquote liberal, peace-loving, quote-unquote liberal. But really, being a black militant is not the same as being a liberal or conservative. And most people, that goes right over their head. Especially because liberals love to co-opt movements. They love to take credit for things. Oh, these Panthers fall under our side of the political spectrum. So, they team up with liberals. Then you'll see people like Angela Davis, who have a certain amount of respect for her, but she teams up with liberals, teams up with feminists, teams up with New World Order people, on record. Okay, just because people talk about some real issues that hit home doesn't mean they're not a bootlicking coward. Make no fucking mistake. Make no mistake. And to say the least, that being a Black Panther or some kind of activist like that and still being around draws a certain amount of suspicion. These people love to put you under their scrutiny, under their auspices. I have had bootlicking Uncle Toms from the liberal side of the spectrum, from the basically Democrats, try to put me under their scrutiny, saying, yo, you don't know what you're talking about. As if anybody knows absolutely everything that they're talking about. They just want me to shut up. When I'm a better leader than probably anyone in this fucking country, I'm a better candidate to be a leader. I have all the qualities, all the research, and you have bootlickers telling me all the research necessary. I don't have all the research, no one does, but you see what I'm saying. And bootlickers are telling me that I should just shut up and, leave it to a bunch of bootlickers from the middle class. It goes back to what Malcolm X said. He said there's a bunch of whitewashed, Uncle Toms, such as Jesse Jackson and them, who are trying to be your voice, who are trying to represent you. But at the end of the day, they don't care about you. They're token leaders, and they accept token rewards. It's called tokenism. Look it up, my friends. Then you had Nebuchadnezzar and Daniel in the lion's den. Okay, God was constantly telling Sodom and Gomorrah, he's telling separate from these people, and God punishes them. Okay, that is their main argument for separatism, and it has a whole lot of truth in it. But at the end of the day, what makes more sense is to integrate and to violently attack your enemies, to make sure that you have a fair shake, a degree of integration, major degree, and a degree of separation. Thank you.